Okay, this is part 3 from the Angry Photographer here about taking apart and degreasing an old manual lens. I will clean this little bit of Teflon grease off the back here in a minute. Now, these little jobbies are lens stops, okay? There's 2 of them, one on each side. Each holds a pair of screws. Now, you're going to make sure that you find the correct Phillips head that fits perfectly with it. If you don't, you will strip them because they have a little bit of Loctite on each screw. And now here's the tricky part. You think, well, I took it apart, you can get it back together. No, kiddies. This is why lenses are a pain, and explaining it isn't so easy. This is literally like a combination safe. If you don't put the lens stops in the right spot, you can literally screw them in to fit the slots in the main lens body here. I fixed this one about 80%. This lens was utterly destroyed before I fixed it. You can actually put these lens stops in a bunch of different locations where they will screw together properly, and you will find out that if you didn't do it right, your mark here for focus won't line up, but that's not what's important, that you will not be able to get the full range of the lens. You can actually screw these lens stops into, they're little L-shaped brackets, okay, that fit down there, and they're stops. Now, these 3 rings, the main lens section, the main lens section, the barrel chassis, and the rear helicoid, these 3 sections move independent of each other. It's like, well, you just put them back together and you screw that together. No, baby! No, baby! No, baby! No. It's literally like, you know how hard it is to open up the combination on a safe? This is kind of the same thing in reverse. That's why I did not want to make this video. A bunch of people have been asking me to make it. But you will sit there all night long trying to figure out how to put it back together unless you know the trick. Now, a general trick, if you are dumb enough to want to learn how to take apart a lens to re-grease it because it's too stiff. Now, do not blame me if you can't get it back together, okay? Don't do it. You should take it on this minimum setting right here, i.e. closest focus. You'll see where it's at. If you actually unscrew it just a little bit more than this, the whole lens assembly will fall outside of the barrel. That's what these stops are for. They also stop it at its maximum. This lens is still stiff, but I've actually fixed it 80%. So it does have a limited focal range, but that's because someone dropped it on a concrete. And I don't mean like dropped it 5 feet. I mean they dropped it. Now, once you set its minimum focal distance, you will notice that here's your aperture ring. There's a little notch right here that fits on the iris for opening and closing your aperture. It's just a little interlocking finger right here. Okay, set it right there. I actually re-greased the helicoid inside here. I applied grease to the lens assembly and the inside of the helicoid, which is this section here underneath this ring, which comes off with 3 screws, and the front focusing ring, which is another 3 screws, and here 4 screws on the lens stops. Okay, I fixed this lens. I've taken the element out, and I took the aperture out, and I removed a spot of fungus, and I removed all the dust in there, at least 95% of it. But I'm not going to show that because there's no way I'm going to show you that, because if you try to attempt that, you'll destroy the lens. If it wasn't destroyed before, you will destroy it. And the tricky part is I don't want to make this video, although so many people have told me how to do it. Told me to make it, excuse me. Told me to make this video. It's because that these lens stops aren't just, well, I took them out. If I line this up with a hole here in the barrel assembly and I screw it back together, it's together. No, no, no. It's just like the combination of a safe. Since these 3, it's literally like the combination on a safe. Not as much, but pretty much it is. You can put these lens stops in a lot of different locations, and yet it still will not get the full focus range, and you will have to take it apart, take the lens stop screws out, and do it again, and realign your assembly, and get these 3 rings aligned properly with the lens section to where it is properly in or out of the main focus ring and the helicoid back here before dropping your lens stops in, because these holes on the main lens section can be dropped here or here or here, and the lens stops will still go in and screw in. You think you put it back together right, but no baby, you didn't do that. Now I'm going to show you something real quickly here, and then I'm going to finish putting it back together. Is you put your aperture ring right here. Remember, it fits over top of the prong right here. Make sure you've got it there. And what we have over here is our bayonet mount. The back of the bayonet mount here has, right over here, you can kind of see it underneath here is a little spring. This is what lets it spring back. What's holding all that in is a large solid copper gasket. If you ever needed to take that apart and spread it, because sometimes the spring, you'll see the lip of that spring protrudes out of this hole here. You'd have to actually stick a blade in and pull this copper lock gasket out, and you do is you take in your hand without torquing it and pulling it apart just a little bit to give it more tension, then snapping it back into place. And then what we do is, of course, you actually have to take this finger here, okay, and you need to come over here and you'll see a hole right over here. There's a hole right here, and you drop that finger in the hole, okay. See, everything's still working. Replace your 3 screw here's, or some AI lenses it's 5 screws. Okay, so I've taken what is a totally trashed fucking lens, which the Mad Viking in Norway should thank me for, and a lens that was destined for either to sit on the mantle shelf as a decorative item or to throw in the trash. I didn't get all of the barrel dent out, but I got a lot of it out, and it's got a limited focus range, but the fungus spot's removed. Now I need to clean it yet. It looks really dirty, but that's just oil from the grease I was handling. That's no big deal. But I've totally cleaned out the lens element, so now she is crystal clear and happy on the actual glass, although it looks dirty right now. I'll clean that in a second. So she's fixed up. So I've taken what was a totally destroyed lens and I have fixed it, although yours would just be a degrease. This one was not only had dry grease, but there's a huge barrel dent, and you could still see it right there where someone dropped it, God knows how far into the concrete. But I fixed it, taken a destroyed lens and I've fixed it. It's still usable. It's optically perfect now, although it has a limited focal range basically, because part of the focus is too stiff. But it is fixed, and it is still usable, and it's optically clear now. Now I warn you, now I did all this in reverse assembly, instead of taking it apart and showing you that. I was putting it back together. I warn you, if you try to do this on your own, you will fuck it up. I told the other few people that wanted me to make this video desperately, don't do it. If you thought your lens was messed up before, getting it back together, especially the lens stops, no. It is literally like a combination safe, because these 3 sections move independently of each other, and the lens stops can be put back in, and you think they're perfect, but they're in the wrong spot. And you'll sit there screwing around, well, it looks like it's the right spot, you know, this is focused out just so far. And then you go to put your aperture ring on, and it's like, well, the aperture ring can't fit over there. It only fits over there. I mean, it's literally like putting, you know, a combination on a safe back in the locked position. Instead of unlocking it, it's like relocking it. And, oh man, you never done it before and you don't know what you're doing. You know, just don't do it, okay? I'm warning you. But I made this video. It's like, well, what did you make the video for then, damn it? If you don't want to... Because a bunch of people wanted me to do it, and you take it into your own hands. It's so easy to lose these screws, and oftentimes these lens stop screws are, you know, they're 20-30 years old at Loctite, and they are locked in there, and you'll just end up stripping the heads off of them. And once that happens, you know, good luck on trying to get it apart and removing the old dry grease and inserting some new grease. But anyway, you all let me make this video, so I made it begrudgingly. And that's part 3 of taking apart a lens and re-greasing it to make it silky smooth again. But this one isn't silky smooth again, but it is mostly so. But this one suffered another serious issue of being horribly, horribly abused and dropped on the concrete. Anyway, thanks for watching, and you have watched the first and only video on YouTube on taking apart a old NIKKOR manual lens, albeit in reverse order. Thank you.